What comes to your mind? Okay. You say, quote, what comes to your mind where you are cut off from Allah if you do take me as your friend, but you aren't if you, quote, guard against me? What do you think that means? Right, I asked that. 16106. I laughed so hard here. You shoot yourself right in the foot like how Stop Spamming do all the time this verse. Oh, how so? Unfortunately for you, shows that it's the unbelievers were violent. Where do you get that in Quran 16106? It just says if under compulsion. How much compulsion, how cowardly do you have to be allowed to put your life, to put a lie over, to do a lie and say you aren't a Muslim? You know, how much? Where do you get, quote, under the threat of death in Quran 16106? And if you do, what happened to martyrdom? You know? Unfortunately for you, it shows that it's the unbeliever, who are violent, showing their beliefs, shoving their beliefs on Muslims. Better that Muslims force theirs on non-Muslims due to Quran 9:1-6 and 29. True. Through unlike the opposite, that what people think about Islam. What? It shows how unbelievers use to force Muslims to accept back polytheists' beliefs. Huh? What does it say? Where does it say that in the, quote, clear signs handed down that explain things fully in detail? With Quran 16106. Where? And again, where is consent for the first part of Quran 424 and how it's reported, handed down in Dawud 2:20-50 and Muslim 8:34-32, 34-33? Where? And then he gives big. Okay, so whoever disbelieves in Allah after his belief, except for one who is forced to renounce his religion while his heart is secure in faith. What happened to martyrdom? If that's how it is, well, again, what happened to martyrdom? Aren't you, as a Muslim, to not put anything over Allah, which would be shirk? If you can put your life over Allah, how is that not shirk? You know? Yeah. But those who willingly open their hearts to unbelief, upon them is wrath from Allah, and for them is a great punishment. Again, what happened to martyrdom? And again, where does it say under the threat of death? It just says forced. How forced? Surah Al-Nahl 6:106. Ibn Qatar comments on this. Gives Arabic here. Yeah. This is an exception in the case of one who utters statements of unbelief and verbally agrees with the idolaters because he is forced to do so by their beatings and abuse to which he is subjected. You mean like Bilal? I bet Bilal probably shouted out angrily after his scripture was handed down. Now you tell me, right? So, fear of being. Now you tell me. Okay, you mean like Bilal? He was a black slave of Muhammad. And he was the first one that did the call to prayer. I bet Bilal, and he was also tortured. Yeah, because he kept on saying run when he could have said many, you know. I bet Bilal probably shouted out angrily after the scripture was, quote, handed down. Now y'all tell me. True? So, fear of being beaten and allowed. Oh, so fear of being beaten. Fear of being beaten and abused is allowed to be greater than Allah, so you can deny Allah and not be like Bilal. Again, why be a martyr? And what do you think of Quran 16107 that comes right after 16106, saying, quote, this is because they preferred the worldly life over the hereafter, and that Allah does not guide disbelieving people. If you are denying Allah, aren't you doing what Quran 107 warns about? How is Quran 16107 not a refutation and contradiction for the need of Quran 16 and 106 about denying Allah. Shouldn't you welcome death to avoid the warning of the very next verse? Now think, O slave of the best deceivers, think. But his heart refuses to accept what he is saying, while he is in reality at peace with his faith in Allah and his messenger. Right. He's lying about not believing in Allah. He's comfortable knowing that Allah values cowardice and concern for one's life over belief in Allah. And yet the Muslim doesn't see how his life has become more important over belief in Allah. Fly in the face of Quran 16:107. Doesn't see how this isn't shirk even. How come? Source Taswir Ibn Kathir 6106. So yeah, quite ironic that this verse shows that it's you unbelievers who forced your beliefs on us false. It shows how martyrdom becomes a joke and flies in the face of the very next verse. It shows how your life of comfort is more important than your belief in Allah. That's all. How can it not? You know. It gives us the right to save our lives from you by making a fake conversion to your faith to save ourselves, not to lie to benefit our case. No, it shows you martyrdom is a joke. 16:107 is a joke, and that your life is, and comfort is more important than your belief in Allah. Allowed by Allah, making Bilal go through torture with his crying out one when he could have cried out and lied and said many. You know what I'm saying? So when you respond again, please don't use this again. Where is consent of the husband or his wife to not make it rape, but just plain old adultery in the first part of Quran 4:24? Where? It says, don't respond with you guy, now, you know. The type of response, I lost count to what you said there. Well, we'll leave that up to our possible readers to ask questions, okay? In conclusion, Nalin Yasmar hasn't defined consent. Liar, I have. It is you. But Muslims usually say the opposite of what is true, so I expect you to continue to accuse me of what you yourself are doing. It's part of the taqiyya, for one thing. And accused me of being a liar and never responded with a counter hadith to my hadith. False. All you did was show a contradiction in Islam and the Quran if you can't rape a woman. For again, you never showed consent from the man nor woman to make the first part of Quran 4:24 not sound evil. You brought two verses about taqiyya that has nothing to do with the taqiyya. With that, I just put a smile because, you know. Repeated his argument and copy and pasted it over and again. Cuts my sentences on half and never letting the full quote. I don't have to. What does don't be friends of Christians and Jews unless you, Muslim, guard yourself against them? What does that mean? Well, we'll leave that up to our readers to decide, won't we? Continue, then respond, and so on and so forth. Gladly. Yeah, gladly.